History is made after President Biden ends his re-election bid and endorses Kamala Harris, who would be the first female president if elected. Jeff Engel, the director for the Center for Presidential History at SMU, joins us this morning. Good to see you, sir.
Hi, good to see you. Okay,
lots of things that will make history books happening lately. I tell you, from the attempted assassination on Trump, and now we got Biden dropping out. This isn't the first time a sitting president has dropped out of the race for the White House, though, right?
You know, it's not the first, but it's a remarkably small list of people who have been willing to give up power and give up the presidency. You know, and the list actually begins with George Washington. And I have to say, anytime you're doing something with George Washington on the list, you're probably doing something right from a presidential history perspective. And, you know, then we jump to James K. Polk in the 1840s. Then we have to go all the way to Theodore Roosevelt in 1908, who left the office, but then won it back in 1912 and ran again and really screwed things up for the Republicans. And of course, as you guys mentioned a moment ago, Lyndon Johnson in 1968 gave up the office. But to be honest, the data, the research recently suggests that he really was hoping that Democrats would call him back at the convention. He gave it up and then immediately regretted the decision. So that's your list. That's a really small number of people who've been willing to say, I could run again, but I'm choosing for whatever reason not to.
And this seems, I mean, this is, at least it seems, this is late in the game, or is this late?
You know, I'm having a hard time answering that because it's late in the game for the last 40 years. We really changed the way that presidents get nominated in our country beginning in the early 1970s by focusing so much on the primary system. Throughout most of American history, people went to the convention and didn't know who the nominee was going to be, and that was just the way it was. In fact, Franklin Roosevelt in 1940, when he sought his third term, his unprecedented third term, at that point, there was no constitutional amendment against a third term. It just was going against George Washington's example. People went to the convention not knowing if Roosevelt was even going to run himself for that third term. So this is, from a historical perspective, not that unusual, but certainly we've made presidential campaigns into multi-year events now. So it feels rapid, but I'm not sure it is.
Any speculation on Harris's running mate, if she is, you know, the one that is selected to run for president, who she should pick? I mean, if we looked at, like, what has worked in the past.
You know, usually a candidate tries to balance the ticket, if you will, find either someone who makes up for their own deficiencies or someone who's from an important battleground state. And so, I think the senator from Arizona, whose name is escaping me at the moment, forgive me, I think also Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, the governor, is someone who I think is going to be high on their consideration. And essentially, she's going to want to bring in somebody who I think adds to the tenor of the election that they're trying to set. And I think an important point is that, remember, Barack Obama was incredibly young when he became the Democratic nominee, and he chose Joe Biden because Biden was an old, experienced hand at Washington. I don't see Vice President Harris, if she is the nominee, going with an older person. I think that they'll do a generational shift, much like Bill Clinton and Al Gore did in 1992.
Mark Kelly, is that who you're thinking?
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and if she wins, I mean, it would be our first female president, first black woman, first woman of South Asian descent. I mean, that is a lot of firsts. Does that hurt or help, though?
You know, that's a great question because she does really well with young people, more than Joe Biden did. They're a key constituent. She also does really well with suburban women, which is a key constituency of the electorate. But I'll tell you, the political science data, and you know what I think about political science, but the political science data that's come out about the 2016 election suggests that Hillary Clinton probably lost a point or two along the way by people who just weren't comfortable voting for a woman. By the way, Barack Obama lost a point or two along the way for people who weren't comfortable voting for an African American, and he still managed to overcome that. So I think, in a sense, Kamala Harris is running already a point behind with Americans who just are uncomfortable with the idea of a woman. But they're hoping, of course, that there are more Americans who think the opposite, who are excited by the idea of voting for a woman.
Presidential historian Jeff Engel, thank you as always.
Good to talk to you.
Appreciate it.